Hey guys, I'm back with another video. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a movie review for I Want You Back. It's a rom-com. Well, is it a rom-com? We're just going to call it a rom-com. And if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my phone because I took some notes on the movie. I haven't seen anybody talk about the movie. I thought it was cute. I'm gonna go into the characters first, then some things that I liked about it, and then some things that I didn't like about it. So this is my first time doing a movie review, so it might be all over the place, but bear with me and let's get through it. So I'm gonna read the description. It says, Peter and Emma are total strangers. When they meet, they realize they were both dumped on the same weekend. Their commemoration turns into a mission when they see each other. Exes happily moved on to new romances. So it stars Charlie Day, Jenny Slate, Scott Eastwood, Manny Jacinto, may have said that wrong, Clark Bacco, and Gina Rodriguez. So Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie an 87%. I think there were some things done right with this movie and some things that could have been done a little bit better. So like I said in the description, we follow Peter and Emma. It first shows them in their respective relationships and they literally get dumped on the same weekend. So Emma's with Noah, well, her ex-boyfriend is Noah, and Peter's ex-girlfriend is Anne. So the whole plot of the movie is basically Peter befriends Noah to try to break up Noah and Jeannie's relationship, and Anne befriends Logan, who is, Emma befriends Logan, who is Anne's new boyfriend, who she dumped Peter for. So honestly, I would give this movie a solid like 6 out of 10, and it would be higher, but I feel like the ending was a teensy bit rushed and we kind of didn't really see the development of Emma's and Peter's relationship. Like, we saw it a little bit, but not enough for us to root for them at the end to get together. I kind of seen where the plot was going already, and I already saw that they were gonna end up together. That was like a no-brainer. Even when you watch the trailer, you're like, oh my gosh, they're gonna end up together. That was definitely, you already saw that coming. Like, no, you only had to watch the trailer to know that was gonna happen, and it did happen. And it's like they tried to do a twist where it looked like they weren't gonna end up together, but they did. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So those are the characters that you need to remember: Emma, Peter, the two people who got broken up with; Anne and Logan, the new couple number 1; Noah and Jeannie, the new couple number 2. So Noah is like into fitness and owns a gym, and he met Jeannie because she owns a pie shop not too far away from his gym, and he ends up breaking up with Emma. So Peter ends up signing up for Noah's gym and starts getting trained by Noah, and that's how they build a connection. So I'm gonna pause right there. That's how they build a connection. Emma and Logan build a connection because Logan is the director for the middle school that he works at, and Anne also works at the middle school as an English teacher. So Emma comes to the after school play and says that she wants to volunteer to help work on the set, and that's how she gets in with Logan and Anne. So throughout the movie it's just like little separate incidences of them like trying to break the couples up, if you will, and it kind of was like just a little bit rushed for me. I mean, it was cute watching her, like, Emma bond with one of the kids at the play rehearsal, and she has like a little connection, and that connection later leads to her wanting to be a guidance counselor, because the main reason why Noah broke up with Emma, or the main reason he told Peter why he broke up with Emma, is because she like doesn't have her life together. Like, she's a little bit all over the place. Like, she literally lives with 2 college students and they share an apartment, and it seems like she just doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. Like, she's a little bit all over the place. So that was one of the main reasons why they broke up. So at the end of the movie, she decides, like, after building that connection to one of the kids at the play, that she wants to become a guidance counselor. Now, why Anne broke up with Peter, oh my gosh, there's so many names to remember. Why Anne broke up with Peter is because she felt like Peter was like stagnant. He didn't do anything spontaneous, and that's why she broke up with him. And Logan is spontaneous because he's like this creative, and he's directing, even though it's a middle school play, like he's just a creative person, and she felt like being with him, she can open herself up to more like creative things. So that's why she broke up with him. So for instance, Noah had took Peter out, and they ended up meeting these girls at this club, and he's like, oh, I'm being spontaneous and would be so proud of me. They go back to one of the girls' houses, and like they're all doing hot tub jumping. Like, instead of cannonballing into a pool, they're cannonballing into a hot tub. And it's weird because Pete Davidson was in the movie as like the girl's ex-boyfriend, and how he really wants to get back with her. So to make a long story short, Pete Davidson's character hot tub jumps into the hot tub, and then that trickles them all into doing it. And obviously Peter is not adventurous, so at first he doesn't want to do it, but they're on like drugs or whatever, and they're just like, oh, it'll be fine, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. So he actually does it, and he like calls Anne and tells her. Obviously she doesn't pick up, but he calls Anne and tells her about it, and just shows like, oh, he can be spontaneous. But to cut that story short, one of the girls, she puts on a jacket, and it's a high school jacket. So he's like, how old are you? And she's like, 23. And then he's like, how old are you really? She says 19. And then he says it again, and she's like, she's 17. Obviously he freaks out because she's underage, so he runs out of the house and grabs Noah. Noah's like in his own like world again, because I said they had took drugs previously. So Noah is also like on one too. So they quickly run out, and like the dad stops them, and it's a whole like funny encounter or whatever. But after that encounter, Noah decides that he wants to propose to Jeannie. That's one of the issues I have with the movie, because I feel like you kind of didn't really see the build, like, I guess it wasn't enough time, but you didn't see the build up of those two separate relationships. So it didn't really make sense that he would want to propose to her if they only knew each other for a couple months. But hey, it's a movie, it's not really supposed to make sense, but that's just my personal thing. So then he says he wants to propose to her, and obviously Noah's trying to talk him, obviously Peter's trying to talk him out of it, because his plan is to break up Jeannie and Noah so Noah can get back with Emma. So after that, he tells Emma what happens, and obviously she's distraught by it, after she just had a night of basically breaking up Logan and Anne, because like she basically, they had an encounter, and Anne is territorial, so she realized that she didn't want to be spontaneous and adventurous with Logan, because he was trying to pressure her into do something with him and Emma, and obviously she wasn't for it. So she decided like, oh, Peter would have never asked me to do this. Peter is sweet, loving, and caring, and kind, and nice, or whatever. So she ends up breaking up with Logan, and Emma ends up leaving too, but she ends up leaving to meet Peter to tell him the good news. But Anne beats her to it, because she ends up calling Peter and asking to come over after the whole situation just happened. And like Peter kind of just brushes Emma off, which I also didn't like, because it's like he ended up getting back together with Anne and just completely threw Emma to the side. I mean, it does make sense, because he said he didn't want Anne to know that he knows Emma, because obviously she would put two and two together and realize that they devised a plan to break them up or whatever like that. But he just kind of just brushed her to the side, like the whole like reason they started being friends like just didn't matter or whatever. So I felt Emma on that aspect. So fast forward, now they're back together, and he brushed Emma to the side. So Emma started doing good for herself. She found her own apartment, so that was the whole thing. She realized that she wanted to become a guidance counselor. Peter also started doing good for himself, and the whole thing, like, he didn't want to be adventurous, so he ended, I don't think he necessarily quit his job. However, he did like say previously in the movie that he wanted to open a retirement home, so he was in the process of doing that. And fast forward to the end of the movie where it's Noah and Jeannie's wedding. Noah invited Emma to the wedding, which I think is weird. Like, I really don't think in real life she really would have went, but she ended up like being sad about it for a little bit. But she ran into Noah at a these names I keep getting confused, I'm sorry. She ran into Logan at a restaurant that they had previously went to, and he basically was like, oh, it can be healing or whatever. So he's like, oh, I can like be your date for the wedding. So he convinces her to go to the wedding, but she didn't know that Peter and Noah were like really close because they spent like so much time like training at the gym together. So they ended up going to the wedding as well. So that's when the big scene comes, and it's like, now it's Emma and Logan, Peter and Anne, and Noah. So they all see each other at the wedding, obviously. And again, Peter like brushes it off, like he doesn't really know Emma, like just knows her in passing. And Logan is like, oh, you're Peter, because obviously he used to date his girlfriend. So that's a whole encounter. So it's awkward for a little bit, and then Peter and Emma like go off to the side to get drinks for everyone, and he tries to like apologize to her and say like, you know, like catch up with her or whatever. And then she's like no, why would I want to catch up with you? Brushes her off again. And then he's starting to realize that like life is not really sweet with Anne, because Anne was like, oh yeah, I always believed that he could start his own business. Even though after they got back together and he told her what he wanted to do, she was like, oh no, you don't have to do it for me, you can be just the way you are. Basically saying that the only reason why he wanted to start the nursing home was for her. So he's starting to see like, wow, I really miss Emma. Like, she was my person. Like, they named it like my slow burn person, which I thought was kind of cute or whatever. It blows into a whole thing. Emma ends up spilling the beans and telling them the whole plan or whatever. Then Jeannie, now Noah's wife, is gonna say, oh, get these people off the boat. He's like, we're on a boat, I can't. Like, girl, make it make sense. Wait to the next like port or something to kick them off. Like, obviously they can't get off the boat right now. So then it fast forwards, it's just a whole mess or whatever. Noah ends up punching Peter, which is rightfully deserved. And then we cut to the end where they're on the plane, which is something like, I really didn't like it, because I'm like, no way you guys would have been perfectly sat next to each other like across the aisle or whatever. And earlier in the movie, Emma had said Noah was her airbag person. So you know how like on a plane they're like, put your airbag on, put your mask on first, and then help the person next to you. She said when you really love someone, you help them put on their mask first and then put on yours. I don't believe in that. I don't agree. Obviously put yours on first and then help someone else, because you can't help someone if you're over here dying because you don't have any oxygen. However, at the end of the movie, it's like a little turbulence experience, and the mask come down, and Peter rushes to put on Emma's mask before putting on his own, and then it's like a cutesy like ending or whatever. I thought it was a little bit it was a little cheesy, but it's a rom-com. What do you expect? It's definitely not the rom-coms of the early 2000s, but I think it was pretty cute. I think it's a cute watch if you're bored one weekend, don't really have anything to do. I would watch it. Like I said, a calm 6 out of 10. This is my first movie review. I haven't really seen anybody talk about this movie, so I thought, why not? Let me know if you guys want to see me review anything else. I'm really into movies. I watch a whole bunch of movies anyway. Why not talk about them right after I watch them, you know? So I will see you guys in the next one, and have a great day. Bye.